Yorkshire pudding. Yorkshire pudding originated in northern England during the 18th century, particularly in the county of Yorkshire. Early references appear in a 1737 cookbook by English writer Hannah Glass, who described a batter pudding cooked beneath roasting meat. The dish uses a simple mixture of flour, eggs, and milk, poured into very hot fat and baked at temperatures above 220 degrees Celsius. As the batter cooks, steam rapidly expands, creating its signature hollow and crisp structure. Traditionally served with roast beef and gravy during Sunday lunch, Yorkshire pudding was once eaten as a starter to fill diners before the expensive meat arrived. Its exterior becomes golden and crunchy, while the interior remains airy and slightly chewy. Black pudding. Black pudding is a centuries-old British sausage made primarily from pork blood, fat, and oatmeal. Historical records suggest it dates back to at least the Middle Ages, though similar blood sausages existed in Europe even earlier. In regions such as Lancashire and Scotland, black pudding became a staple because it used every part of the animal after slaughter. The mixture is seasoned with spices like white pepper, nutmeg, and sometimes pennyroyal, then packed into a casing and boiled. Once cooled, it is sliced and fried. The texture is dense and crumbly, with a savory, iron-rich flavor. Today, black pudding is commonly served as part of a traditional English breakfast and remains a protected regional specialty in several UK towns. Sticky toffee pudding. Sticky toffee pudding is a moist sponge dessert that gained popularity in Britain during the mid-20th century. Many historians trace its origins to the Sharrow Bay Hotel in England's Lake District around the 1960s. The cake batter contains finely chopped dates, which provide natural sweetness and moisture. After baking, the sponge is drenched in a rich toffee sauce made from butter, brown sugar, and cream. The result is a soft, sticky dessert with deep caramel notes. Served warm, often with vanilla custard or ice cream, the pudding became a staple in British restaurants and pubs. Its popularity spread internationally, but the UK still consumes millions of portions annually in winter months. Christmas pudding. Christmas pudding is one of Britain's most iconic festive desserts, traditionally served on December 25th. Its origins date back to medieval England, when a dish called plum pottage combined dried fruits, spices, and meat in a thick porridge. By the Victorian era, the recipe evolved into a dense steamed pudding. The mixture typically contains suet, breadcrumbs, flour, raisins, currants, and candied peel, flavored with spices such as cinnamon and nutmeg. Many recipes include brandy or dark rum. After steaming for several hours, the pudding is stored for weeks to mature, allowing flavors to intensify. Before serving, it is reheated and sometimes flambéed with brandy, producing the dramatic blue flame associated with British Christmas tradition. Bread and butter pudding. Bread and butter pudding emerged in Britain during the 18th century as a practical way to use leftover bread. Cookbooks from the 1700s described layering buttered slices of bread with raisins or currants before baking them in a sweet custard made from eggs, milk, and sugar. The dish was popular in working-class households because it required inexpensive ingredients that were widely available. During baking, the custard soaks into the bread, creating a soft, creamy interior, while the top develops a lightly crisp surface. Nutmeg or cinnamon is often sprinkled on top for aroma. Today, bread and butter pudding remains a classic comfort dessert found in British homes, cafes, and school kitchens. Rice pudding. Rice pudding has existed in Britain since at least the 14th century, when rice was imported through Mediterranean trade routes. Early versions appeared in medieval cookbooks and were sometimes called rice pottage. The dish combines short grain rice, milk, sugar, and occasionally eggs, slowly cooked until the starch thickens the mixture into a creamy texture. Traditional British recipes often bake the pudding in the oven, forming a golden skin on top that many diners consider the best part. Nutmeg is the most common flavoring spice. Rice pudding became particularly popular in the 19th and 20th centuries as a nursery dessert served in schools. Its flavor is mild and comforting, with a smooth, custard-like consistency. Spotted dick. Spotted dick is a classic steamed suet pudding that became widely known in Victorian Britain. The name refers to the spots, which are dried currants or raisins scattered throughout the dough. The pudding uses flour, shredded beef suet, sugar, and milk to create a thick batter that is wrapped in cloth. and steamed for about 90 minutes. This method produces a firm yet tender texture. Historical references appear in British cookbooks from the mid-1800s. Spotted dick is usually served hot with custard sauce poured over the top. Despite its unusual name, the dessert remains a staple of traditional British puddings and continues to appear on menus in historic pubs. Treacle pudding. Treacle pudding developed during the late 19th century when golden syrup became widely available in Britain after its commercial launch in 1885 by the company Lyle's. The pudding is made from a light sponge batter containing flour, eggs, butter, and sugar. Before steaming, a generous layer of golden syrup, often called treacle in British cooking, is poured into the basin. During cooking, the syrup forms a sticky caramel sauce beneath the sponge. Once turned out, the syrup flows over the pudding's surface. The flavor is intensely sweet with warm caramel notes. Treacle pudding became especially popular in British school dinners during the 20th century and is typically served with custard. Steak and kidney pudding. Steak and kidney pudding is a savory British pudding dating back to the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century. It originated in working-class communities in northern England, where filling meals were essential for laborers. The dish consists of diced beefsteak and lamb or beef kidneys simmered with onions and gravy. The filling is enclosed in a sweat pastry made from flour and shredded animal fat, then steamed for several hours. The slow cooking process tenderizes the meat and thickens the gravy inside the crust. The result is a rich, hearty pudding with deep, savory flavor. It remains closely associated with British comfort food and traditional pub cuisine. Summer pudding. Summer pudding is a relatively modern British dessert believed to have originated in the late 19th or early 20th century. Unlike many traditional puddings, it is not baked or steamed. Instead, slices of white bread are used to line a bowl, which is then filled with fresh summer berries such as raspberries, red currants, blackberries, and strawberries. The fruit releases juice as it rests, soaking the bread and turning it a deep purple color. After chilling for several hours, the pudding is unmolded and served cold. The flavor is bright and tart-sweet, highlighting the natural acidity of berries. Summer pudding reflects Britain's seasonal fruit traditions and countryside harvest culture.